Underneath the vast expanse of a starry sky, the alien planet of Valoran thrived in its cool, serene night cycle. The city of Jina, the capital, was aglow with soft, ethereal light emanating from towering crystalline structures that shimmered under the light of three moons. These towers, built by the Jir, a race of tall, slender beings with skin like polished marble, reflected the moonlight in a mesmerizing display of color and light. Amidst this tranquility, an elderly Jir named Serac stood at the center of the grand plaza, facing a monument that had stood there for generations. The statue was of a human, a tall, muscular figure with an expression of determination etched on its face. To the younger generations, this monument was nothing more than an artifact from a bygone era, a relic of myths and legends. But to Serac, it was a symbol of hope, and a reminder of a time when the universe was on the brink of chaos. Serac, one of the last remaining historians of Valoran who believed in the existence of humans, had spent his life studying the ancient records passed down through generations. He had listened to countless stories told by the elders, stories that were now dismissed as mere fables. Yet he knew better. He knew the truth that lay buried beneath layers of disbelief and ignorance. Today, he had gathered a group of young Jir students around the monument for a special lesson, a lesson they would not soon forget. "Gather around, young ones," Sarah called out, his voice steady but filled with an unmistakable hint of excitement. The group of wide-eyed students, all barely 10 cycles old, moved closer, their eyes fixed on the old historian. "What do you see before you?" he asked, gesturing toward the statue. A young student named Mira, her eyes full of curiosity, spoke up. "It's a statue of a human, isn't it? But my sire says humans are just a myth, a story to entertain children before sleep," she said, her voice tinged with both wonder and skepticism. Sarek nodded slowly, his lips curling into a knowing smile. "Ah, yes, that's what many believe now, isn't it? That humans are nothing but a myth? But what if I told you they were real? As real as the ground beneath your feet and the air you breathe." The students exchanged puzzled glances. They had heard stories of humans, of course, but they were just that. Stories. Nothing more. One of them, a boy named Vec, dared to ask, if they were real, where are they now? Why hadn't we seen them? Sarak's smile widened and his eyes sparkled with the light of someone who had waited a long time to answer that question. "The humans were betrayed," he began, his voice dropping to a hushed tone that made the students lean in closer. "Betrayed by those they once called friends. But before that betrayal, they did something incredible. They saved countless lives across the galaxy, including our own. Let me tell you a story about a time, not so long ago, when the humans appeared out of nowhere and changed everything." The students, now fully captivated, leaned even closer, their anticipation palpable. Sarek continued, his voice gaining strength as he spoke of events that seemed more like a dream than reality. "Our world, Valoran, was on the brink of annihilation. A cataclysmic event threatened to wipe out all life here. Our scientists predicted that in less than 100 cycles, our planet's core would destabilize, causing a chain reaction that would reduce our home to a lifeless, frozen rock drifting in space. We were desperate. We sent out messages to every known species, pleading for help, but none came, none except the humans." A collective gasp rose from the students. "Humans? They came to help us?" asked Sarah, her voice filled with both disbelief and fascination. "Yes," Sarek affirmed, his face alight with emotion. "Not only did they come, but they arrived with a fleet so vast it darkened the very sky. Ships of every size and shape, burning with technology beyond our understanding. They came with one purpose: to save us." "But why?" Mira questioned. "Why would they come for us, a species they did not even know?" Sarek nodded as if expecting the question. "That, my dear Mira, is the great mystery of the humans. Some say they did it out of compassion. Others believe it was their sense of duty. But whatever their reasons, they did not hesitate. They acted swiftly, setting up camps, providing us with food, water, and medical aid. They evacuated entire cities within days and worked tirelessly to ensure no one was left behind." The students were now completely engrossed in Sarak's tale. Vec, who had been silent, spoke up, his eyes wide with excitement. "But if they were so powerful and kind, what happened to them?" Sarak's face darkened, a shadow of sadness passing over it. "They were betrayed by one of their own allies, a powerful race that feared their influence and strength. The humans were lured into a trap, a deadly conflict with a malevolent force that sought to dominate the galaxy." He paused, letting his words hang in the air before continuing. "The humans fought bravely with courage and determination that no other race could match. They stood their ground against overwhelming odds, their ships tearing through enemy lines with a ferocity that sent shivers down the spines of even their enemies. But they were outnumbered, outmaneuvered. Many perished as ships torn apart in the cold, unforgiving void of space." Mira's voice broke the silence, her tone a mix of hope and worry. "But some survived, didn't they?" Sarek nodded, his expression softening. Yes, some survived. But they left, taking their remaining fleets beyond the known regions of the galaxy. They vowed to return when the time was right, to reclaim their place among the stars and bring justice to those who had wronged them. The students were silent, their young minds grappling with the weight of Sarek's words. They could feel the truth in his voice, the passion and the conviction. They knew this was no mere story. Sarek looked around at the faces of the students, knowing he had captured their imaginations. He continued, his voice steady and strong. Our people were among those saved by the humans. We were on the brink of destruction. Our cities collapsing, our world tearing itself apart. But the humans came, and they brought with them hope. They worked day and night, without rest, without hesitation. They evacuated our cities, moving our people to safety. They shared their food, their water, their technology. They built shelters, set up medical camps, and treated our wounded as if they were their own. A soft murmur spread through the students as they imagined the scene Sarek described. They could see it in their minds, the chaos, the fear, and then the arrival of the humans, bringing with them hope and salvation. Sarek continued, his voice growing more intense. They did not ask for anything in return. They did not demand tribute or fealty. They asked only for our friendship, for our trust. But there were those who feared them, who saw their strength and kindness as a threat. They plotted against the humans, lured them into a deadly trap. The humans were forced into a war they did not seek, a war they did not want. But they fought. Oh, how they fought. With every ounce of their strength, they fought to protect those they had sworn to save. The students were silent, their eyes wide, their breaths held as they waited for Sarek to continue. He paused for a moment, letting his words sink in, before speaking again. The humans knew they were outnumbered. They knew the odds were against them, but they did not falter. They did not retreat. They fought with everything they had, with every weapon, every ship, every ounce of courage. They fought until their last breath, until their last ship was torn apart. And when it was over, when the dust had settled, they were gone. But they had left behind a legacy, a memory, a promise that they would return. Beck, his voice barely above a whisper, asked, "Do you think they will come back?" Sarek smiled, a sad but hopeful smile. "I believe they will. One day, when the time is right, they will return. Not as myths, not as legends, but as real living beings. And when they do, they will remind the galaxy of who they are and what they stand for." The students began to murmur amongst themselves, their imaginations fired up by the story. They began to imagine what it would be like to meet the humans, to witness their strength and courage firsthand. As the lesson came to a close, Sarek looked up at the statue one last time, whispering softly, "Perhaps someday they will come back to us." The students departed, their minds buzzing with excitement and wonder. Sarek watched them go, a smile on his lips. He knew he had done what he had set out to do. He had ignited a spark of curiosity and imagination in their young minds, and perhaps, just perhaps, that spark would one day lead them to discover the truth for themselves. Sarek turned to leave, but paused for a moment, glancing back at the statue. Until then, he whispered to the stone figure, "We will remember."